Welcome back! My name is ballerscuba. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1984. Today, we're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The story of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom takes us back to George Lucas. George Lucas was responsible for the Star Wars trilogy as well as Raiders of the Lost Ark. Lucas approached Steven Spielberg to direct the follow-up to Raiders of the Lost Ark. Steven Spielberg had directed Raiders of the Lost Ark and E.T. the Extraterrestrial. Spielberg has said that Lucas approached him stating that he had ideas for 3 stories to make a trilogy. But Spielberg has also said that Lucas did not have additional stories, so the two had to create them together. The second film, From the Beginning, was planned to have a darker tone. It has been said this reflected the personal lives of Lucas and Spielberg, who had recently had breakups in their relationships. Lucas has also said that the darker tone was intentional to mirror the darker tone of The Empire Strikes Back, the second film of the Star Wars trilogy. After a few different settings, Lucas wrote a treatment for the script that included a haunted castle in Scotland. However, Spielberg felt that was too similar to his 1982 film Poltergeist, so that was changed to a demonic temple in India headed by an evil cult. Lucas approached Lawrence Kasdan, who had helped write Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi, to write this new film. However, Kasdan refused, citing the film's dark tone as the reason why he didn't want to work on it. So Lucas turned to his film school friends and married couple Willard Huyck and Gloria Katz, who had helped Lucas write American Graffiti. Huyck and Katz went to George Lucas's ranch, known as Skywalker Ranch, to discuss the project in early 1982. They were told that the film should have Indiana Jones recover a village's stolen artifact, and that the film should start in China and end in India. By May 1982, Huyck and Katz wrote a 20-page treatment named Indiana Jones and the Temple of Death. After months of reworking discussions, which led to 500 pages of a transcript, a first draft was finished by August 1982, with a second draft finished in September 1982. These drafts were primarily inspired by the 1939 film Gunga Din. This second draft would be reworked until a final shooting script was finished around April 1983. It was around this time that the name of the film was changed to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Filming would prove to be a struggle. Several locations refused to allow filming, seeing the story as too offensive to be associated with. As a result, much of the film would be filmed on sound stages. Production would also be plagued by injuries, including Harrison Ford suffering a severe spinal disc herniation during filming. John Williams, who did the music for the Star Wars films, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, would provide the soundtrack for the film. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was released on May 23, 1984. It would prove to be instantly successful. The film would have a final budget of $28.17 million, over $80 million in 2022. In its first week, the film would gross $45.7 million, over $131 million in 2022. It would go on to make $333.1 million worldwide, over $955 million in 2022. To coincide with the release, Marvel Comics released Marvel Super Special No. 30, a 3-issue limited series based on the film. This would hit store shelves on June 5th, 1984. Despite the film's popularity, critics had mixed opinions about the film. While some critics enjoyed the adventure and humor of the film, Other critics struggled with the darker tone of the film and a perceived weak plot. Steven Spielberg himself has even said that he does not enjoy the film. The film is also controversial for its portrayal of Indian and Chinese characters and culture. George Lucas, on the other hand, has stated that he still enjoys the film. As time has gone on, the film has retained its mixed reputation. Some still see the film as a good time, while others see the film as controversial and too dark. The film's darker tone, in particular, would help lead the MPAA, the Motion Picture Association of America, to create a new rating between PG and R, PG-13. This was actually at the suggestion of Spielberg himself, and the MPAA would introduce the PG-13 rating 2 months later. That is the backstory to Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. With that told, it's time to talk about the plot of the film. If you have not seen the film and do not want its plot spoiled, now would be the time to stop watching. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video. For those that have stayed, let's talk about the plot of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. In 1935, 1 year before the events of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones survives an attempted murder by a crime boss in Shanghai. Indy takes a young Chinese orphan named Short Round and a nightclub singer named Willie Scott and escapes on a cargo aircraft. However, the aircraft is owned by the crime boss that tried to kill Indy. The pilots dump the fuel and abandon the aircraft, leaving it to crash in the Himalayas. Indy and his friends are able to escape on an inflatable raft that they use to ride down the mountain into a river. They use the river to make it to a village in northern India. The villagers ask Indy to recover missing children and a lost sacred stone. Indy agrees, thinking that the stone must be a Sankara stone, a stone given by the gods to fight evil. So the three go to Pankot Palace, where the stolen stone is supposed to be. After a warm reception and awkward dinner, Indy is attacked by another assassin. Indy is able to kill the assassin and discovers a series of tunnels behind a statue. The three, overcoming several booby traps, are able to find an underground temple with a rumored evil cult that practices human sacrifice. This cult has 3 of the 5 Sankara stones, and has enslaved children to get the last 2 stones. Indy and his friends try to get the stones, but are captured. Indy is forced to drink a potion that makes him serve the cult. Willie is prepared to be sacrificed, and Short Round is put to work in the mines. Short Round is able to escape and free Indy, who then saves Willie and retrieves the stones. The 3 escape on a minecart, barely escaping a flood. The leader of the cult pursues Indy, who is able to drop henchmen into a river. The leader catches up to Indy again, and the two struggle. Indy invokes the name of Shiva, which activates the Sankara stones, which burn through Indy's satchel. The cult leader tries to catch a stone, but falls into the river. Indy is able to recover the stone and climb up, where the British Indian Army is waiting. The army fires on the cult. Indy and his friends return to the village and return the stone and the missing children. That is the plot of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. That will do it for the story of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom for now. My name is ballerscuba. This has been Video Games Over Time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video when we tidy up.